guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, or welcome to. Today I'm going to be teaching you and helping you learn about spiny leaf insects, also known as Axtosma titanium. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, I'm really trying. So let's get started. Alright. Spiny leaf insects are stick insects, also known as phasmids. Adult spiny leaf insects are more like dead leaves and sticks. However, they are very hard to spot in the wild as they hang motionless from foliage. And they are found in the northeast of Australia. They are fed on a variety of plant types known as rose leaves. It has to be the specific type that they like. They have a couple types that they like, but make sure it doesn't have any chemicals added to it. You don't want to poison your stick insects, because if they are poisoned, they're going to die, obviously. And that you don't want that to happen. So they are actually pretty fascinating and interesting. They have a really interesting cycle about how they're grown up and live beginning with their eggs being tossed individually by females from the trees down to the forest floor. The eggs look very much like plant seeds and are more often collected by ants and stored below in a nest, which protects the egg from predators. And they look like this. Once in a tree, it begins to feed on leaves and grows by shedding its outer skeleton in female 6 times to reach an adult. To molt successfully, the insect needs to hang uninterrupted beneath a leaf or branch. So hanging like this, but on a branch, not on a human. It can't shed on a human because you'll be shaking. Unless you've got a really straight hand, which I obviously don't. To molt successfully, the insect needs to hang uninterrupted underneath a leaf or branch. This can take 10 minutes to half an hour. Curled up, females retain the curled up posture and have spines along their backs. When mature males develop wings and hold their tails straight, like this, when girls have it curled. An amazing fact about many phasmids, including spiny leaf insects, is that they are so parthenoalogic. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. This means that females don't need to be mated to reproduce. So if you only have a single female, she can still produce young replicas of herself. So she technically clones themselves. They don't really, they just clone themselves, honestly. But they can be different colours. They can come in many different colours. So, this is how to care for them, what you need to be able to care for them, and this will be what you need and what you're looking for if you're wanting to own one of these amazing creatures. They are actually very easy to take care of. Probably one of the easiest pets I've owned. So, yeah. You'll be lucky to get one. So, the food that they have is fresh, healthy gum leaves. Ensure fresh, healthy leaves are always available for your insect. Don't let the leaves dry out before you change them. The leaves can be put into a jar of water to keep them fresh for as long as possible. Make sure the jar has a lid or covering with no holes into it, and you need a hole, obviously, in the top to be able to put the leaves in, but you don't need any holes so the water leaks. Stop the young stick insects from falling and drowning. Place a few different types of gum leaves in the enclosure and give your insects a choice. Spiny leaf insects may also feed on rose leaves, some wattle leaves, tree Lucasum, Kedidney, and guava. Sorry if I pronounced that type of thing wrong. I'm still in school, sadly. So they feed on those type of leaves, but make sure you have to look up what type of it. I'm not quite sure. You can comment it down below if the comments are open. Not quite sure if they will be, but yeah, tell me if you know. So how you give them water, you don't give them a little bowl of water. You have to lightly spray, like with mist, the leaves around your insects once a day. It will drink the droplets. It's actually really cool watching one drink droplets. Alright, the enclosure needs to be large enough to allow your stick insect to shed its exoskeleton properly. And the enclosure should be higher than its width. A stick insect should be able to climb upwards. Minimum size requirements are 35 centimeters high, 30 centimeters wide, and 30 centimeters deep. Place the enclosure in a spot where it gets a bit of daylight each day, but be careful it doesn't overheat in direct sunlight. Make sure there is plenty of ventilation in your enclosure. You need a lot of ventilation because they need to breathe. They don't not breathe. I don't know any living things that don't need to breathe, but these definitely need to breathe. So make sure if you're owning one, you have ventilation, but not too much. For the little hatchlings, you don't want those to get too much ventilation, because if they get too much, they'll dry out and they'll unfortunately die. And you don't want that to happen. So make sure for the adults, like once they've had say about 3 or 4 sheds, you can put them into a highly ventilated enclosure, but just be careful of their age and you don't want them to be able to dry out. I have one hatchling that I'll show you at the end, so stay tuned. Alright, so how long may they live for, you may be asking. Well, they don't live that long, but they live around a year. There's no specific explanation. Each one lives differently. If it's a female, they live a lot longer because they have to be able to make eggs, lay eggs. They lay to like 100 to 1,000 eggs. I've got heaps of eggs. I'll be able to show you an image, which you would have saw earlier in the video. Alright, the species will do best at 22 to 26 degrees in Australian. So yeah, you don't want to put it in 20 Fahrenheit, they'll freeze. They'll tolerate 10 to 20 degrees and have a slower growth rate because they'll die faster if they have it to 10 to 20, but they'll live longer and they'll have a happier life at 22 to 26. Alright, handling. They should be picked up gently by coaxing them into your hand. They always prefer to climb up, so use that to an advantage when picking them up and putting them back onto the leaves. They do have small hooks on their feet that they use to hang on with. These may tickle a little. With girl spinies, especially pumpkin, this one, the big one, they hurt just a little bit. They don't hurt that much. They used to hurt more because you used to stab them in, but they're actually quite gentle. And they don't really want to hurt you. They're very slow and gentle, but they are quite fragile. You've got to be careful. Alright. Reproduction. Adult males will mate with adult females all year round. Females will also lay eggs when she hasn't been mated. Once the female starts to lay eggs, it can be collected from the bottom of the enclosure and stored in a small container from 3 to 9 months. These eggs will start hatching and then hatch faster at 2 to 25 degrees. The hatchlings should be fed on soft young leaves and can be housed in the same enclosure as the adults. But you do need to be careful they're not climbing on each other because that could break the little ones because they're very fragile. Alright, common issues. Sometimes stick insects will not shed their skeleton properly. Personally, I haven't experienced it, but it is actually quite common to happen. So this may be because there isn't enough room in the enclosure for them to do so, or that their environment is too dry, and the new skeleton hardens before they can free themselves from the old one. They can also lose limbs through the molting process. Now that has actually happened to me. Well, not once one shed in my enclosure, but in one of the shops. And that's because it shed at a bad time when they were just about to change the leaves, and the leaves were getting dry. And it was later in the day when they were about to change the leaves, and it shed. Alright, anyway, so the molting process, if they aren't hanging correctly whilst molting, they can regrow most limbs in the next molt, but need at least 2 molts to regrow a limb to a usable size. If you find your spiny leaf insect isn't eating, try offering another type, or a few different types of gum leaves to try and find a leaf that it likes to eat. Because some of them are picky eaters. Honestly, I've had one that's a picky eater, and I've never seen it eat before. I've seen it eat once, but it only eats roses. It's just this one. Piggy eater. Sometimes it eats gum leaves, but does not enjoy it. That's why we just put in new rose leaves actually. Alright. No, these animals are captive bred and should not be released into the wild or collected from the wild. You don't want to go outside and go, oh, stick insect. I'll bring it in, put it in a little container, and my pet. No, you have to get one from the shop that's captive bred and has hatched from one of them, or you breed them yourselves, which honestly I'm breeding them. I've got like 1,000 eggs and they're just getting started. I've got 3 females. So you kept watching till the end? Well, you get to see this one. You get to see Pumpkin, which is my biggest spiny. She wants to climb on me. Come on, girl. You can do it. She's big. She's actually like a killer. She's pretty heavy. She's a sweet little girl. She's actually my profile. So, hey, girl. And once I get up to 100 subscribers, I'll actually put one on my face. Do you want to see that? Well, you're gonna have to subscribe. Alright. Come on, girl. You can go up there. Just putting her down so I can show you. Alright. This is a boy. This is my stunt boy. He's a little bit smaller and a little bit lighter than most other ones. Boys have long wings and they can actually fly, but very rarely. They only fly if they feel like they're endangered or they're not comfortable in their environment, which he's flew a couple of times, but that's only because I had to change the leaves. He didn't like that. Alright, and yeah, those are my stick insects. I have 2 other ones, but they're not really that happy. But here's one of my other ones. They're actually quite different in size. You can't really tell on video, but chocolate, this one, is a little bit smaller than this one. And this is the other one, this long, about my finger length. And then Pumpkin is about 2 finger lengths. Little bit different. Alright, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and hope you're having a great day or night. See you in my next video. Bye!